Welcome to Happy Talks with Dr. Alice and Donovan. Dr. Alice Fong is a holistic naturopathic doctor and founder of Amour de Soi Wellness, and Donovon Jenson is a software engineer and founder of HowToHappy.com. Together, they're out to cause more happiness in the world.
Hi everyone, welcome to Happy Talks. Today I'm super excited to introduce our guest today, Lauren Balukjian. She is a leadership coach and experience facilitator who's passionate about empowering others to live a courageous life. Her mantra is conceive it, believe it, achieve it. And she's here today to tell us how the power of intention setting is the foundation to making all dreams possible. Please welcome Lauren. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Awesome. Wonderful. Can you tell us a little about how did you get into this realm of leadership coaching?
Sure. Yeah. So it's funny how these kind of things sort of always stumble upon you when you least expect it. Let's see. So I had been previously in the corporate world for most of my career doing marketing, and I have 4 children, in fact. So I was just coming back from maternity leave with my baby. I was like 6, she was about 6 months old, at my desk working, when all of a sudden an email popped up. I read it and it was like, "Hey, Lauren, I don't know if you remember me from the holiday party, this other holiday party a few years back, but I have irrefutable evidence that your husband and my wife have been having an affair for quite a long time." And so that stopped me dead in my tracks. Like I said, I had just come back like 2 weeks from maternity leave. I was just getting back into the swing of things. That just landed on me. And it was a life-changing event. Like that was about 1.5 years ago. And it really made me step back, reassess like what I was doing. Can I continue here? And like really open myself up to my work to let them know, like, I'm in a really tough spot right now. I don't want you to think I'm, struggling because I just am coming back from maternity leave. And so that led onto a path of like self-discovery and doing therapy and all sorts of different modalities that helped me. And through that journey, within like a 3-week time span, 3 different people had said to me, have you heard of CTI? First time, you hear something like, no, and, oh, you should do it. You'd be really interested. And then like a week later, someone else brought it up. Like, have you heard of Coactive Institute? A third person that said it, I was like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I'm doing it. And so it was serendipitous. I signed up kind of blindly with faith and showed up to the workshop. And I was like, holy crap, these are my people. Like, this is where I'm meant to be. And it was the first time that I felt like so alive and just that resonance of I have a greater life purpose than just kind of, going on this one autopilot path. And so for the next like several months, I tried to juggle doing these workshops, getting, going through some training, and also keeping my corporate job and keeping everything else afloat that I was managing through this time. And I had a sample coaching session. I was thinking of getting a coach for myself. And within 15 minutes of this sample session, I had agreed I wanted to quit my job and jump fully into the deep end and go for it and give other people the courage and the just the belief in themselves that like you are serving a greater purpose here and there's not time to be wasted. There will always be a reason not to do it. And so I fully committed, and I've been on that path since, and I'm just so passionate about wanting others to find that and believe in themselves and go for it. That's pretty much the gist of it. I mean, I know you weren't expecting that that full-winded response, but it was a life-changing event that led to serendipity, opened up some connections, and here I am.
That's such an inspiring story. And I'm just so inspired that like it took a really kind of like slap in your face to like wake you up to, living a life that you really are passionate about and excited about. I clearly see that shift in you.
It's
So,
one of those, I was like, this can't be happening for not a greater reason, all this stuff. Like it just didn't make sense. And it opened so many other doors. And I feel like anytime someone's going through a life transition, it's such an opportunity to wake up and see what's around you and enjoy the journey and open yourself up to possibility.
right.
So I had a little bit of a question. It sounded like before it was like a little bit more on autopilot, or like your life just kind of fell into what it was. And then after this, you kind of uncovered like some deeper meaning and some things that you're more passionate about. I'd be curious to know what you feel like the differences are in terms of planning and figuring out your life, right? Because I'm sure before you did something to try to figure things out a little bit, but now you're figuring a lot more. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's a great question and point. So I often say before that happened, if you'd met me and we were doing this, 2 years ago, I was happy. I was seemingly like fulfilled. Everything was great. What I didn't realize is that I was on this sort of autopilot mode, and I was just so much in the trenches of the doing and the pace of life of just moving through it, that I hadn't really paused and stepped back and said, like, what am I doing this for? And it actually is a good lead into intention and whatnot. But that whole discovery and that journey really made me think about, like, what are my values and who am I at the core? And once I got really clear on that, that's when the stark difference of, holy shit, I can't keep doing this job that on paper, it's a great company, like loved the people, inspiring culture. I mean, that was the hardest part. Was I was at a place where if I shared it, do like work from home, paid time off, all the things you possibly could want. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm still not fulfilled. There's something missing, a piece. And one of my core values is being authentic and being adventurous and courageous. And so I felt like I'm playing small by staying here. But it wasn't until I took that look in the mirror that it went from like, kind of muted to vibrant colors of the differences between the two.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. It sounds like, and you can correct me if there's any part that's not on target, but before it was kind of like a path, I don't know, that kind of like opened up before you a little bit at a time, or like maybe you had like some long-term career goals or whatever, but like not a deeper reflection on what is the overall purpose? Like, what is the big picture? What am I driving toward? Like, how do these goals fit into, like you're saying, values? It sounds like now you're way more tuned in on that and have that dialed in.
Right, exactly. And so it is becoming more of that sense of, what was I doing? The work and the stuff I was doing before was more of a means to an end rather than like serving a higher purpose. So it's that distinction between actually, like, some of this is like the ego and all the reasons why this might be good versus the like greater good that it's creating. And so when you're living from a place of intention that is aligned with your core values and this bigger belief, then I feel like the actions that you're doing have a lot more meaning and energy behind them. And that was the big difference. So now I feel like when I get kind of like bogged down in the still, today, like there's the to-dos, there's the emails, the administrative work, all of that, it's like stepping back and saying, well, what's my why? Yeah. And when I ask them, what's my why? It's like, no, because I'm really passionate about wanting to bring more of this, shine this light on more people that they can also believe and take that action to live their biggest dreams. So it's like, and it's fun. It's actually fun when you start doing this, because each day becomes sort of this experiment and curiosity of what's it going to bring. And it's sort of like has that magical unfolding to it now.
Yeah, really inspiring and beautiful. And I'm just curious, what would you say is the difference between, like, I get you're living into your why, and that's inspiring. And it's a lot of it sounds like unknown. You're not sure this is your why, but how do I get to
right?
How does that intention differ from like goal setting, I guess?
Yeah. So the why is kind of like always lingering out there, or it's like the foundation beneath it all. And so, I still set goals. I think of the why as, so the why is, the intention is more of the why, whereas the goal setting is the what.
Okay.
So intention is the why, goal setting is the what, meaning it's why I do it, but this is what I'm going to now do in order to do it. And so when you kind of have that framework in place, what happens is you can actually open yourself up more, I think, to unexpected circumstances and uncertainty. So much with intention setting, I believe, is you put it out there, you set your goals, your actions that you're going to do to help support that bigger intention or life purpose. But then you got to let go of some control. Then you really need to, surrender and back off and embrace the uncertainty. And I think so many people get bogged down in trying to grip to the control and grip to the goals and make it happen and force it to happen. And it's like, you're missing the whole beauty of it. You're missing the whole point. The part of this is all the journey. It's like living each day with the intention of bringing that forth rather than just focusing on the goal in the end place. And I think of it as kind of a dance between art and science. The art being the science being more of the doing and the goal setting and the specific what I'm going to, achieve. And the art being more of the like co-creation of, the unseen, unexpected circumstances that just show up and you roll with it. So that's the part that I like love, but I hate, because it's like scary. It's a world of fear lives because it's all uncertain, but it's also where all the magic happens.
I guess it's a question. It's like a concept in my mind, and I want to float it and see how it lands for you. Okay. Which is, the way that I think about some of this stuff is like values I use as like the core, right? So let's say one of my values is health. And within that value, there's so many different pathways that can come out of it, right? Like there's so many different ways that I can achieve health. Mm-hmm. And that's where the goals come from. Mm-hmm. And like, I may not be able to hit every single one of those goals. So for example, a couple years ago, I was working on being able to do a handstand push-up and then broke my collarbone, right? So like that goal is crossed, like done. That was done for the time being. But I felt like it was useful to know what the value was, because then I could go, okay, that path is closed. Like this goal is not happening this year. There's no way. But there are many other things, like other pathways opened up to achieve the same value, which is health. And a lot of it was just like not trying to do a handstand push-up, like letting my shoulder heal.
Yeah.
So just be curious how that like framing lands with you.
It makes a lot of sense. It actually makes a ton of sense, because so much like in coaching and stuff that I think about for myself even is this like this wheel of life, and there's these different spokes to it. And it's like things like your fitness and your health, or it's like your friends and your family, your career, your relationships, your well-being, and all of your values, kind of sit in the middle. And so often when, one area starts to go, when you start to feel that nudge of like dissatisfaction or frustration, it's often because you're not honoring one of your values. And so when you really know what your values are, and maybe you can't do the handstand, you can't go there anymore, but it's a really important thing to you, you can look to the other areas of life to like build upon it and really find it, to find that fulfillment. So I love that. I love that idea and that concept, because it's at the core. And it's so funny because I think a lot of people, value work, they kind of come up with happiness is my core value. It's like, okay, well, what about happiness is it? And when you start digging a little deeper, then you get to the core of why someone is, why it matters to them. And when you can understand that, then it's really when you can start to see why someone maybe is feeling like stuck or frustrated. And it doesn't always have to be like you have to break it to fix it. Sometimes it's just a matter of naming it and then building upon it.
So. Yeah. I think that's really like useful. Like we were talking about, I just, my life has been so different since I realized like there are multiple paths to do things. Like that uncertainty that you were talking about a little bit before, like it's just part of life. And like, you may not always get the exact way that you think things are coming, but, and maybe you want to expand on this more, but to me, and like, that's where intention comes in.
Right.
I would love to get your take on it, because I think you have more developed ideas on that specific topic.
Yeah. So do you mean just like what intention means to me, or like what the...
Yeah, just the way that you would phrase like how it's useful, or how it fits in with values and stuff, right? Because I've heard you talk about values and intention, and then I'm looking in my brain to marry the two. I came up with one little idea, but I think you have a stronger position.
So I think intention is so interesting because, again, like I said, it's that why, but it's really so often, again, people are not pausing. They're doing they're on that autopilot mode, right? They go to work, they check the email. Okay, this is a new project. We're going to do this. And they're just doing. And someone will say something like, I think we need to do something out of the box this quarter. Like, we've been doing too much of the same. Let's think out of the box. And so everyone starts racing for out of the box ideas, Googling out of the box, what's innovative? And no one stops to say, why? What are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to get new customers because we're looking like we're, copying the market? Like, are we looking to look like a disruptor in some sort of way? Like, what is our intention behind this concept of out of the box? Similarly, same kind of idea as you ask someone, what their goals are. I hear this a lot with coaching. They'll come and they'll say, I want to lose 25 pounds. And it's like, okay. And they get so fixated on this number, and it's like, but why? What, if you lose that, what are you aiming for? And when we can get deeper to the intention of the why, like, well, because then I can fit in my jeans. Okay. Why is that important to you? Well, because then I feel good in the mirror. Why is that important? Because then I feel confident. Okay. Well, then what? Well, then I'm more free. Okay. So freedom is really important to you, to feel liberated. Like, let's focus on that as your why, so that when you're doing it, you're not like starving yourself and just trying to get obsessed on this number, but you're feeling that freedom through the journey. You're feeling that confidence through the journey. A kind of a funny one that I always think of is like posting on social media. And, social media gets a lot of bad rap, because it does feel like people don't think twice of like, what is their intention of posting this? When I share this, it's like a small example, but I think it'll make you guys laugh. I'll share a small example and I'll think a bigger picture. But so when I started going onto the dating apps, once this whole divorce thing got underway, I had to make my profile. And so I picked, you get like 4 pictures, and it was so interesting I'm a pretty self-aware person. So I'm like observing myself. And at first I intentionally, I don't know if I quite caught myself, but I was like, I don't really need to put a picture of me, the 4 kids. Like, that just, that's going to scare people off. So I would put a picture with I'm like, but I want them to know like I am a mom. So I put a picture of like 1 kid. Well, guess what? It's like the wrong intention. I'm attracting the wrong people. I'm then having to say, oh no, actually there's 4. It's like, and so often people are putting projection out there rather than just being authentic and owning it. And so I actually changed it. I caught myself. I did this for like a month and watched the people as they came in, and then I changed it. And I was like, finally, some people that like accept me for really who I am and where I am. Like, this is really me. Yeah. So again, it's back to letting go of the ego, letting go of what we want to be seen maybe as on that paper, and really sinking into what do we ultimately want and what matters. My bigger picture example is back to, my intention of like why I'm in this space. And so, like I said, I get hung up often of, oh gosh, I'm not going to make enough of a difference in someone's life. You put all this pressure on ourselves. Like, did that session really make a big difference? And then I just step back and say like, why am I doing, or how many coaching clients do I have? And it's like, wait a second, why am I doing this? And it's like, because I really care and I'm really passionate about wanting to serve others. And so this is where I am right now in my journey, and it doesn't really matter. And so you can let go of like the metrics and the this and the how many likes did I get, how many shares, because you're doing it for a greater reason than those kind of, surface level things. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer. I don't even know if I got to the core of what you were asking, but it's like, it's really the power of the intention. When you have a clear intention, you can align your purpose with your values, right? And you can open yourself to the flow of what's out there. It becomes really easy to start making decisions because you're like, is this aligned with my intention? Yes. Okay. I'm going to go for it. Or everyone knows that little zing in your stomach or feeling when you're like, I'm doing this for maybe an ulterior motive. Like we're human. That happens every now and then. And we can lie to ourselves and rationalize all day long, but we know when we're not coming from a place of pure intention versus, some other underlying motive.
Yeah, I really love that you made that distinction and really kind of got to the heart of getting past the metrics, like you mentioned, of, and I tend to get caught up in the numbers and like, oh, how am I doing? What's my performance like? And at the end of the day, it's like, did I live into my passion? Do I live into what I love doing, is serving others and making a difference for others? And yes, I realize that is, something I could be more focused in my intention of like, why am I doing it versus being like, oh, I'm not meeting my numbers and then beating myself up about that.
Exactly. They're like draining. Vanity metrics are vanity for that reason.
They can be. Yes. How do you kind of like figure out because metrics are useful, but how do you like still strive for your greater achievements or goals, but then still like staying present to your why, I guess, without letting that, can you get both? I guess.
Yeah, so like that's back to the art and the science and the dance between the two. So I think, metrics are important. I think it's also, you're missing out if you blindly just never checking that or looking in. But I think that what they can be, if you can reframe what their power is, and it's really about, putting a stake in the ground, and then it becomes also fun of experimenting. It's like, oh, okay, I'm here right now. I actually want to be here. So I'm going to just try something for fun for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to experiment. And that's why I'm actually really big on the concept of like looking at every decision as more of just data for yourself to like explore and try something new. And so, because we get hung up again, like you said, like on these numbers and did this work, did this subject line, get the right open rate. Well, maybe not. And that's okay. But you learned something valuable. Now you don't do that again. So it's like when you start to realize everything is just more data and it's not a measurement of success. It's just a measurement of more information, and you can start to enjoy that journey again. You can still continue to be making progress.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other practical tips when intention setting?
Yeah. So there's some just like basics that I do every day, or I try to. When I do it, it really helps me. So from like a daily, truly like a practice, I think of 3 things that I'm grateful for to start, because I think if you're leading from a place of gratitude, when you start intention setting, it's in alignment. So 3 things you're grateful for: the intention itself, saying what that is, and then the 3 things that you're going to do that day to support that intention. 3 little things. Like we're so conditioned to like, oh, I'm going to boil like all or nothing. Like I'm either going to do this whole thing or I'm not going to do it all. It's like, put that aside. Yeah. 3 things you're grateful for, 1 intention, 3 things you're going to get done that day that are going to support that intention. And then leave the rest to be open. Like have that framework and tuck it in place. And then when you're actually doing the intention setting, what I like to think about is kind of 5 things. So 1, it's just taking a moment to get real. Like we are moving so fast. So this is why I like to do at the start of the day, sort of a meditative practice. Like, what is my intention for today? What matters? Like what really matters to me? So getting real with yourself, kind of connecting it with your goals, your values. Because I feel like when you're clear on your values, you have more likely to have pure intention. So step 1, and then write it out. So actually, put it in writing. And then 3 is take that, whatever that whole intention is, and boil it down to one word, like focus or trust or courage, and put that word somewhere where you can actually see it. I like to write it like with the dry erase markers on my bathroom mirror. So it's like, boom, I see it all the time. Or some people like write it on their hand. And it's just that like true north marker to keep you grounded as you go through your day. Okay, so then step 4 is to write out those actions that you're going to do to help support that intention, whatever those may be. And then 5, which I think most people struggle the most with, but it's the most fun, is let go, surrender, and trust. Like trust that when you're in alignment and you're coming from a place of pure intention, there are other magical, unexpected surprises that are going to come your way, that are going to open doors. And you got to get out of your own way to make that happen. And just be really, as you're going through your day, that's back to kind of mindfulness and being present, but take note when, something randomly falls in your lap, or, you meet someone, have this unexpected conversation with someone at the gas station. I don't know. I am very attuned to all those things. I believe that they're little signs or, markings for me to either say like, okay, keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right path. Or it makes me think twice about, well, what was that all about? What did that mean? And it usually unlocks some sort of unexpected other door. I hear it all the time, like people saying, I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have examples of like, it feels coincidental. It feels like, that's so crazy. I was thinking of that person and they called, or, is that a sign? Well, I really do believe that there is this sort of unseen energy that's, guiding and helping people with their path and their intention. And so when you're in that like vibration and you're feeling it, cool shit happens. You guys finding me, actually. I was like, oh my gosh, this just felt very synchronistic. And I'm like, I looked at what you guys did. I love what you're doing. I love what you stand for. And it's just the beauty of like those openings happening, but you've got to be open to it and you've got to be aware. So
it just kind of has me reflecting on how not intentional I am a lot of the day. It's like I do a meditation practice, I do exercise, I kind of like go through the motions of my day, and I even write out my goals, but it's more of like, okay, I gotta get this done, there's like no intention behind just like a checklist of to-do things. And
it's crazy how even in meetings, like I become intentional with my intention. Like, so starting the meeting, just saying, hey, my intention of this, our 30 minutes together, is to accomplish X, Y, Z, or get this out of it. And then it creates focus.
Yeah.
And everyone appreciates it. It's like, oh, okay, this is what we're here for. This is what we're driving towards. I mean, that's in a really more practical business setting, but it's useful. Yeah. And we don't do it. I don't know. It's so funny. So often we just don't, and we can have an agenda, but it's like, with agenda items, what are we trying to achieve from them? What are we trying to accomplish? So yeah, it's useful in the little stuff. And then it's really useful on the bigger, like, I don't know, Alice, if you ever feel like you're just getting bogged down with the to-dos and it's like overwhelming.
To-dos.
It's a lot.
Caught up in like, oh my God, there's just so much to do. And then I feel like spread thin because there's so many different projects I'm involved in, and I'm like, what do I focus on?
Yep.
I think if I set the intention, like, okay, it's like, what's important to me right now?
Right.
What do I want to really accomplish right now? Versus like, juggling plates all the time.
I guarantee if you I try this exercise, like when you've got all these things, like just picture them all, or like literally put the stacks of whatever they are and just say to yourself, what's important to me now? Like, what of these things are important to me now? Like, close your eyes and really sink in. Something is going to bubble up and everything else will turn like muted. Like, it will just be obvious. This is where I need to focus.
Yeah, no, I like that. And actually, I think that would give me, like yesterday, I didn't get everything that I wanted to get done. I have like 70 emails or messages I need to respond to. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to catch up on that. But then I'm like, you know what? I need to decompress after the day. I'm going to take the dog to the dog park. Just like, so the messages will keep piling up and oh well, and it's okay. What I need right now is to go to the dog park and just chill. And
right. Exactly.
you know, but then I was like, in my back of my mind though, I was feeling guilty that I'm like, oh, I could spend that hour, you know, catching up on all that stuff that I need to. But now I feel like, no, if I really focus on the intention of, you know, I need some decompression time right now, that's really what matters, then it would allow me to just enjoy that dog park experience more fully, versus being like, oh, I have these things going on.
Yeah. Well, another like little practical tip, this isn't about intention, but it's been working really effectively for me is really scheduling the time out for all those things so you can let go when you're in the moment. It's like, if you said that to yourself, like, I'm going to the dog park now, and I'm going to actually block 30 minutes tomorrow morning at this time for the emails, you know, it's got its home and its place.
Yeah, totally.
And then it's like, because because otherwise, and so I've just gotten really into the habit of being really prescriptive in all that stuff, because I know that overwhelming feeling, and you're not present in either space. Then you're like, I'm guilty, I'm not doing it. But if I was doing it, I know I need to decompress. It's like, and how, I don't know, can you guys relate to this? What you were saying, Alice, made me also think of how times when I'm so stuck on kind of the goal, like I want to get it done. So I was trying to work, for example, I was working on this video just last week, you know, about coaching, but rather than kind of having to be this ad hoc one, I was like actually filming it for like, it's going to be a 2-minute video. First time I blew it. Second time I messed up again. And then I just got into this like, must complete it, like really wanted to force it. And the videos were getting worse and worse. And I was getting more and more frustrated. I more and wanted to get done. And even like I talk about signs, I was having the camera like stuck to something. It like fell off the tree that I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's telling me just to stop. And then the phone got so hot, it just stopped working. I was like, well, I guess I'm having to quit now.
Yeah.
But sometimes we just get so stuck in our path, and you know what? We lose the joy and the, you know, what so much more you could get out of it. Like if you started doing those emails now and plowing through them, you're just trying to get through them. Who knows? Maybe if you'd stopped and spent a little more time on that one email, like someone sent you something, it would connect to you and make you think of something else. Yeah, when we force it, it doesn't work.
No, I can totally relate on when I was first starting my business and trying to go virtual, and you know, you have to develop an online presence. You've got to be creating video content. And I remember creating like a 2-minute video, and it took 4 freaking hours. So I was trying so hard to get it perfect, exactly to the script. And then I realized that I had to give up the, you know, looking perfect. It has to be set. And then it just doesn't help the situation. And actually that's kind of how HappyTalks manifested, because it's totally unscripted. It's
right.
Authentic conversation. We don't even know what we're gonna say, but it's just so much more fun and natural. And you know, we are fulfilling our purpose of, you know, creating video content and actually spreading the mission of more happiness in the world and giving people tools to get there. So it's been quite a journey from where I started, because I'm like, if it takes me 4 hours to create 2 minutes of content, this is not going to work because I got other shit to get done. So yeah, it's yeah, and it's just so much freer to just be organic. And you know, we're human, we mess up. I say filler words all the time. I don't always like it, but it's practice in, you know, in growing myself.
And that's what I love about it. This is way more authentic than us, you know, trying to, get on camera. And I actually think like newscasters probably have it the hardest, because they're like they got to like, you know, follow the script and whatnot. But, or actors, like you see, cut, redo. It's like, how do you not get in your head? Like there's something magical about just letting things unfold again, like organically, how we're having just a conversation here. I didn't know we were going to cover some of the stuff that we got to, but it was really fun. It's been interesting. So Yeah. Donovan, I want to hear from you and like what your like how you landed into this, how your relationship even got going. And
Yeah. So, well, first, I resonate very much with recording a video a million times and it not being right. I distinctly remember, I mean, I've been making videos for like 10-ish years now, but I remember at the start, like trying to record this one video. And at the start, I thought I needed a script, going back to like being perfect. I thought I needed a script and I thought I needed to nail it directly.
yeah.
And I distinctly remember one day trying over and over and over and over until my voice went out. And then I still was trying to do it and watching it back and being like, this is so bad because my voice is out. And like still trying to talk through it. And then it was, but to bring this all the way back, it was after that I was like, what am I doing? Like, what is the intention of this? What do I want out of this? Because like what I don't want out of this is to spend 6 hours talking to no one about a script that like probably isn't word perfect anyway.
Yeah.
And so like that's when I started changing my content approach a little bit to be like, okay, I'm just going to talk about whatever I'm going to talk about. If people like it, cool. If they don't, great. I'm over it. Like I'm not spending 6 hours destroying my vocal cords.
Yeah.
I totally got sidetracked. What was the actual question?
Oh, I was just curious about like your intention of even getting into I've heard from like Alice and like getting into this podcast and how it landed and like, you're here.
Yeah. So for me, I've long had an interest in mental health. Like it's been a thing for me personally, a thing in my family. Like I've just seen it around me, and it's something that I wanted to like contribute to improving in general. This particular project, I think, is a really nice way to have conversations with people who have different perspectives or different specialties or modalities that I don't see, because I don't know if you knew this already, but I'm actually a software engineer. So I'm spending most of my time doing software, so there's all these different ideas and concepts and things that I don't necessarily have access to. Now I spend a lot of my non-work time on this other stuff, but still like talking to people, I can get, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years of experience from someone.
Yes.
And obviously you don't get their full experience, but you can get really nice pieces of information and really nice steps. The other piece is me personally going through a lot of the resources. I found that a lot of them were like pie in the sky, very airy, like just be happy. And when you're happy, you have energy and that's good. And you're good to go. And it's like, okay, but what am I supposed to do? Because like I feel bad now, and what you're saying like doesn't connect the dots for me. So the other thing is like getting those tactics from people that I may not have run into myself, and kind of laying that out for people in a way that they can see some of the steps, or at least initial steps, or some ideas of things to actually do. That's the big like important thing for me out of this, is just bridging some of those gaps. And I know like the space is huge and there's tons of work to be done, but I feel like this is my like little contribution to the area.
Exactly. I love the range that you guys cover of topics, like everything and anything. And I also love what you said about, like just kind of getting these nuggets of wisdom from people, like being that kind of blend. You're pulling all these different ingredients and letting it kind of sit in this bowl. But that's what I'm finding, is that the more I talk to people, there's so much knowledge and we're so connected in ways. And if we really sit and listen to someone, there's just so much there's like a story to be told, but there's lessons to be learned as well, which is so cool. Yeah.
There's another thing too that I really enjoy, which is there seems to be like, there are totally new concepts and ideas, but there's also like a lot of overlap, and then they come out in different ways, and that hits differently for different people. So I think by having these conversations, we unlock like, okay, you explain, how values and goals relate in one way. I explain it in another way. For any particular individual, one of those might be awesome, and the other one is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what does that mean?
Right. Exactly. And I'm guessing like some of the stuff, these conversations you have end up feeding into your total other world of like software engineering. I just imagine like they're not completely siloed. So there must be some sort of, stuff that makes you think and look at things from a different perspective sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. And I would definitely say that like I've only been doing software for the last 2 years. So the mental health, happiness type angle is way more like where I'm most comfortable. But there are definitely tons and tons and tons of overlap. Mainly, and software in the frustration space is being like, I don't know why this isn't working. Why is this not working? Please work. Why? Like, why are computers so hard? But there's definitely a huge overlap in skills. And going back to what you're saying, we cover like a wide range of topics. I think there's a wide range of topics that influence happiness. Like, there's so many little pieces, and they all interconnect to kind of set up our environment for happiness. I don't want to say produce happiness because it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but it all like plays together into how our lives like manifest and what we feel day to day.
Right. And to your point, it's like, it's back to like what piece and kernels, like when you talk about all these different things, actually connect with that person for them to say, that jam works. That does bring out my happiness level. Like that moved me up a couple notches, with what resonated with me. So yeah, it's not a one size fits all. That's why I talk a lot about experimentation in the sense of you got to try a lot of things on. You've got to be open. You got to try practices. I'm pretty like, and I use the word a lot, challenge, because that's my like background of being conditioned. I played sports in college and I'm used to like really intense, like you win or you lose, it's all or nothing. But I think it really sets us up for disappointment and like getting in our own way of, I'm not even going to try because I'm going to fail, or like that fear of failure. But when we have the like mentality of experimentation and just trying a bunch of different things or listening to different perspectives, and being aware of like what lands with you, you start to create your own toolkit that's specific to you to allow you to, be your best and happiest and courageous self. So.
Yes, we can always add more tools to our toolbox.
Right.
Lauren, I want to thank you so much for being our guest today. It's been a pleasure, and we've both gotten a lot out of it. And I'm just curious, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, actually, speaking of experimentation, so I have a 7-week self-discovery journey that I do a few times a year. It's virtual. It's for women. Sorry, Donovan, but it's not going to be inclusive of you. But it is about 7 women coming together for 7 weeks to set an intention and hold each other accountable through that space in order to gain more clarity within, connection with other people, and just a greater sense of confidence. And it's called the 7x7 experiment intentionally because it's all about experimenting with different practices. So each week we have a different sort of theme and then a different practice, such as like, self-reflection. And within self-reflection, there's so many different, there's meditation, there's visualization, there's a whole slew of things. So each week has a different practice where we're experimenting with different things. And I'm actually in the summer 7x7 right now. And tomorrow I'm starting a 3-day fast as part of this experimentation. And back to intention, I tell people, if your intention is to like lose weight or like drop a few pounds, like that's not why you should be doing this 3-day fast. Like this is all about going within and realizing like less is more and what you really need, and kind of getting clear on how your mind operates in your thoughts versus your heart versus your whole soul. So the 7x7 experiment kicks off in September, and I'm talking with women now. It's only for 7 total, but I'm one of them. So 6 other women that want to be on this journey. It's fun. It's kind of, it's courageous, but we have a really good time through the process and getting to know ourselves better. So if anyone is interested, my contact details, I think, will be shared, and would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a really incredible experience for some 7 lucky ladies. So awesome.
And you can follow me. I think, my handles be there, but I'm on Instagram. I'm at Unleash Your Aura, and my website is just my name. So laurenbalukjian.com. So you can find more details there on any of the experiences or coaching. I'm always looking to work with other people that like are ready to play big, get bold, and go daring. Because if you want to do it, we'll have some fun. We'll make it happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being on our show. It's been a pleasure. And thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.